Hi, welcome to part one of two videos regarding long range shooting with the 308 Winchester cartridge. First of all, I think I better define long range. My definition of that with this particular round is 600 yards minimum and 1200 yards maximum, which the 308 shoots successfully, certainly in my case. I started shooting long range some years ago with military ammunition, military surplus stuff. In the UK it's mainly Radway Green, which is the ammunition plant that manufactures for the Ministry of Defence. As you can see on this head stamp, there's an RG there, obviously Radway Green, 90, which is 1990, and a NATO compliance cross in a circle. The bullet weight of this cartridge is nominally 150 grains, though I've heard of some cases of 147 grains, and it will get there at 1,000 yards and possibly 1,200. The problem with military ammo is consistency. You may get a bull on the first shot, number 4 ring, number 3 ring, and the odd time a complete miss at the long ranges. It's not surprising that this ammo differs across each round because it's mass produced, mainly now for machine guns. It used to be used in the British SLR, the L1A1, and again that rifle's effective range was probably 600 yards with iron sights, which again it shot very well. So if you're serious about your long range shooting, you probably need to forget military surplus ammo, whether that's US or British. Factory ammo, of course, is the other alternative. That's more accurate if you buy the gold match, but incredibly expensive, and again you can't customise to your rifle. You're stuck with what they think is right for you. So really the only answer to long range shooting, if you're going to do it seriously, is hand loading. Now I expect you knew I'd say that, and I was only convinced of it when someone said to me, you'll never get consistent scores with factory ammunition or military surplus. So I bit the bullet excuse me, and started hand loading for long range. Now you can take that to extreme lengths if you wish. I mean, there's no axe to grind about that. Only I have a finite amount of time to spend on reloading, so I do what I think is most effective to case and bullet, etc., and stop there. So these are my home loads. These are actually IMI cases which I found shoot very well. Can't get them now in the UK. These are about 10 or 15 years old, but they shoot well. The thing about hand loading is you can customise the round somewhat to what suits your rifle, and I've attempted to do that with mine, and I found that the most successful bullet to use in my particular situation is the Sierra Match King 155 Palmer match and the 175 grain. The 155 Palmer match are very good, and they're very consistent. The 175 mainly I reserve for the windy days and 1200 yard shooting. It carries further, keeps its energy, and is very repeatable. What do I do then, you say to yourself? Well, I always trim my cases to the correct length, chamfer and deburr as usual. When I first get the cases, I uniform the primer pockets and also deburr the flash holes, standard stuff. That's it with the case. I don't segregate cases by weight or any of that, and you can certainly do that, and there's many videos that show you how to do that. Powder, well, I use Varget, and because I work the load up and I've got all my elevations set calculated for that powder, I don't muck around with powder experiments. Vargot works very well. Bullet, I don't uniform the meplat or whatever they call that, and I seat 20 thou above the book length, which is, the book length is 2.80, I seat to 2.82. Works okay in my rifle. You should test any kind of increase over the book length in your own particular rifle. Primers, these are standard Winchester or Federal. I don't have match primers, and I don't do as some people do, which is weigh them and batch them. Seems to me to be a little bit over the top, but don't let me criticise whatever you want to do. So let's just sum up the first part of this video regarding ammunition. Really, seriously, if you intent on shooting long range, you should load your own ammunition. I use competition sizing and seating dies. I use Redding for the 308 and I use Forster for my 223, which I'm not going to discuss, particularly as I don't really consider it a long range round, particularly because of the problems with wind. I use the best bullets, in my opinion, for the money. It's Sierra Match Kings, and you can see the two here that I use. 155s, two catalogue numbers on that. This one is the new catalogue number, which you can see is 2156. That's got a better ballistic coefficient, i.e. a higher coefficient than the old catalogue number, which is 2155. Both shoot well. You'll have to adjust your elevation slightly between the two bullets. .175, again, that's standard. That is, I'd say I'd use more of those than the 155s, mainly because of its wind bucking abilities. So I think that's all I'll cover on ammunition. You can take, as I said before, you can take your reloading to the nth degree really by separating your cases by weight or volume, even weighing your primers, even weighing your match bullets to segregate those. That's for the bench rest and the F-class men. I'm very happy to hit a man-sized target at 1200 yards every time. So that's my criteria. Now we'll go on to part 2 of this first video, which is optics. This is part 2 of video 1, optics. A lot of people expect to go on a range and shoot long distance with hunting scopes, and they're pretty well all disappointed, because most scopes made for hunting, they run out of elevation between 300 and 600 yards. So basically they're not up to it. The adjustment for a hunting scope is under these caps, and what you generally do in that sort of situation is zero your scope once for the ammunition, put the cap back on and pretty much forget it. Same with windage. So you're using these adjusters, elevation here and windage, really just to set the scope up once, and unless you change ammunition, that should be quite sufficient. But I've found when I've shot with colleagues who've used hunting scopes, and I'm not talking about cheap ones like this is just an example, it's a cheap scope, but fairly expensive hunting scopes, they run out of elevation settings round about, well, 600 yards. They might get to 8, but you'll be very lucky. So they're really not up to the job of long range shooting. No disrespect to the scope, but a hunting scope is just that. It's for hunting, where you probably shoot between those ranges that I've discussed, 100 to maybe 300 yards. Also, the reticules on these scopes are generally duplex, which I'll put a shot up later, which is basically thin crosshairs with 4 thicker posts. So your chances of being accurate if you want to aim off or aim over or under are virtually impossible. You can use the tip of the post and maybe halfway between the post and the centre of the crosshairs, but that's it. So I wouldn't recommend hunting scopes for long range shooting. Right, this is I don't like doing shot through scopes because it's so difficult to keep them aligned, but this is a typical hunting scope duplex reticule. As you can see, really it's 4 thick posts and a crosshair in between. This isn't suitable for long range shooting. I'm going to stop while I can here because I'm wobbling all over the place, but I think you can see that.